We need to talk.
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 How's everyone doing today? It's good? All right. So just like the last show, for those of you that were there, and for those of you that are new, thank you for coming. We like to start off with an icebreaker, which is what we normally do. So I'm sure everyone here is familiar with the game Never Have I Ever. Yeah?
Oh yeah, for sure.
You're not a man's. I actually hate when things say that. A woman's. Alright, let's get started. Thank you guys for coming out. It's always nerve-wracking coming out and seeing real faces. Appreciate you guys. This feeling doesn't get old, so thank you guys for coming out. Grab a good show. Grab a good show. But this is the fun part. This is the icebreaker. Never, ever, ever. You guys know this game. If you don't know it, you'll know it very quickly. Everyone put your hands up right now, please, to start. Hands up, hands up. So I'm going to ask a question. If you guys don't know the game, I'm going to ask a question. If you have not done this, then you keep your hands up. If you have done this thing, then you drop your hands. Simple enough? Perfect.
Karina, put your hands up.
Whose hands not up? Who's All right. So, first question. Never have I ever regretted having sex with somebody. Never. No regrets out there, Warren. No, because I can tell you some regrets, Warren. I can tell you some regrets. Oh, Jake, no regrets?
No.
No? Okay.
Can you tell me? Can you tell me?
We'll talk later.
I can.
Okay, no regrets? Okay, cool. Next question. Hands back up. Hands back up. Never have I ever had a crush on a friend's parent.
No.
I'm sorry? Did you like someone's parent? No? Okay. Okay. Some had, so some people have, you guys have some parent crushes out here? For real?
Yo, Keith. He goes, I was attracted.
Yeah, there's a lot more women with their hands up. That's my favorite.
Yo, they like, yo, a lot of you guys want people's dads. That's crazy. Alright, hands back up. Hands back up. Okay. Never have I ever been caught having sex.
What do you mean?
Did someone catch you having sex? What?
Yeah.
First time I ever did.
In me activating your vagina, dig out. Did someone see? No?
When you were having your guts rearranged.
Whoa! There's gut busters in here?
Alright. Hands back up, hands back up. Let's get through this quick. Slow down, children. Next one. Never have I ever lied to my partner and said they looked good today when they did not. So even if what? Alright, hands back up, couple more. Never have I ever got in a public fight with my girlfriend or boyfriend. You guys have brow tubs here. Come here, no worries. Never? No fight? No public fights, right? Take that home.
We don't fight, period.
Don't embarrass people in public. Alright, hands back up. A couple more questions. Second last question is, never have I ever hung up the phone on my partner. You guys are rude. My goodness. You're thinking, you never hung up the phone?
Top boy,
You wait till a bye every time? You wait till a good bye every time? Huh? You wait till a good bye every time? Oh, you need the last word. Okay, that's crazy. Fair. So only a couple of hands. Most of you guys have hung up the phone. Okay. Last question. Never have I ever. Hands back up. Every time. Hands up. Right. Never have I ever interfere with someone else's relationship, you know if you're mixed up or you're not mixed up. You know when you interfere with someone's relationship. Is that a half hand session? Is that a half hand? So you mean it's okay, cool. Alright guys, get it, no worries. Perfect. Relax. We're all warmed up. We're all laughing. We're all giggling. Good.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys for answering half truthfully. Good.
All right. Well, we're just gonna get right into it
Yeah.
and talk about what everyone seems to be talking about today, which is the new Drake album, guys.
Aubrey Graham.
So I don't know. Like, I'd like to think that some of you guys have been listening to the podcast in the last couple of weeks. And we talked about Drake's album coming out and also the whole issue about him having a kid. And just to clarify, like, him having a kid isn't an issue, but I think like the way that it came about is kind of problematic, but that's just my opinion. We'll talk about that. So first of all, did anyone like actually take in the album?
You can't go through that quick though. Not properly. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you played every track start to finish though? Really? Yeah. Okay. It still felt very underwhelming though. No? Okay, fair. First listen. Okay, cool.
Okay, so basically, I guess on the album I think it was March 14th, the last song where he, he talked specifically about the whole situation with like his baby moms and that whole thing. And then earlier in the track, he said, "I didn't hide the kid from the world. I hid the world from my kid."
Yeah.
Shut up. Pop your eyes.
I mean, as a former member of the Fuckboy Association, because now I'm a faithful man in a relationship.
What was that sound? No. Who made that sound? He's a faithful man. He is.
I'm a faithful man, sure. Anyway.
Some of you are... I was like, whoa.
You don't know me? You don't know me.
I was like, wow.
Anyway, my thing is when I heard that line, I thought it was kind of funny because, I mean, that's the same kind of line that I know most men would use when, a girl's asking, like, why aren't you posting me on your Instagram? Like, maybe I'm not posting you. I just don't feel like posting you. That's kind of what it's like. That's kind of what it sounds like to me.
I'm keeping you from the world, baby.
So, I don't know. I don't know how you guys feel about the situation. I don't know if you guys really even care. Obviously, we talked about it because it's kind of related to relationships and stuff like that. But did anyone find it problematic, that whole situation, or no? Like, I wonder what the general consensus is, because part of me feels like because we live in Toronto and Drake is from here, we tend to like let certain things slide.
Everything slides with that guy. Let's be honest. He can't be touched. I honestly, my opinion about Drake is, I have a different perspective because I don't know him personally, but I know a lot of guys know him personally. And his persona that he shows to the public, he's really a cornball. Like, he is. If you guys know him, like, he's a cornball. But he's very good at what he does. He's very talented. He's very smart. And he markets himself a certain way. This whole Pusha T situation really exposed him. Not, like, literally and figuratively, but exposed him as his true self. Because, as you guys know, the Meek Mill battle, he destroyed. He's having fun. He's laughing. He's enjoying that. The Meek Mill, all the memes, and he felt nice. He was confident. But Pusha T's not Meek Mill. And he's like, it's not a game for me. Like, I want to destroy you. Even though I can't, but I will bring you down as far as I can, right? And his no response, I guess, to his last diss track, the way he's trying to spin it now is that, oh, like, I'm bigger than that. Like, no, you don't have answers. No, you don't have answers. There's nothing you can say, but you are aware that you're so big you don't have to respond. Yes?
Who would be the judge? Like, I feel like we're putting him... we're putting him on a pedestal, like, you know, it's Drake, yes, he tries to push that good guy image. We had a conversation about this when the whole Pusha T thing came out, and I'm like, we're putting him on a pedestal, yes, he's Drake, he's amazing, whatever. He's just making music that we love. He is doing all the stuff that he's doing. Maybe there's a reason, I don't know their business, but maybe there's a reason Rihanna didn't want to be with him. Like, now we're getting to see what he is doing, right? But he talks about it. It talks about it in his songs. He loves strippers. He loves all this stuff. He just caught himself in a situation like many people do. That's how many of us got here. You know what I mean? No offense. And it just so happened that he's a celebrity. And if you listen, one of his songs, he explained that they met twice, or when they say it can only happen once. I mean, I don't know about that, but at the same time, that he's trying to explain, but at the same time, it's Drake. So we're expecting him to come back hard. This is what I knew he would do. Come out with an album and say, oh my God, I had a baby, life is rough. But at the same time, his music's going to be good and we're still going to be bumping it. But it just sucks that he broke that image and people are pissed. But why are you pissed? He's not your man. He's not your friend. It's Drake. Do you know what I mean?
100%. Yeah.
There's a lot of good points. I just feel like he, I don't know. He is a cornball. Like, that's how I've always felt about Drake. I fuck with his music, like, big time. I'm not gonna act like I don't. But it's just funny. Whenever I talk about Drake, people assume that I hate him or something like that. And quite honestly, I expect a lot from him. Like, I'm very critical of him, along with some of my other favorite artists, because I listen to them every single day. So they kind of play a part in my psyche, whether or not I know. Like, whether I choose to openly accept that or not, right? So, I mean, someone like, prime example, like Kanye, right? Dude's my favorite artist of all time, but he's wild sometimes. I'm not afraid to actually openly say those things. But yeah, I'm a real fan. But that's also like a whole different level. Like, being a Kanye fan, in my opinion, is probably one of the hardest things ever. People assume that when you're a Kanye fan, like, you think everything he thinks. Yeah. But
well, that was another topic we're going to talk about, actually, the Kanye thing. The Kanye thing. So, I mean, it's unfortunate because people like to pick and choose when they want to crucify somebody, right? As if they're surprised that Kanye's never been this type of Kanye, you know? It's just when they forget that someone's a certain way, then they just get mad all over again, you know? But how we want to tie this into relationships, because this is what we talk about, is Kim Kardashian, his wife. Sorry? That's another topic.
we'll talk about
I think that's sure we can get into that later. But aside from her ruining him, but no, Kim Kardashian as his wife, when he's going through his episodes, if you want to call them, because I don't think Kanye doesn't know what he's doing. I just don't think he has control of himself. That's it. I feel like he's very aware of everything he's doing and saying. He just really doesn't know how to control, and if he's agitated, he just has no filter at all, right? And then I think after reflection, he sees stuff on the news and stuff, he's like, shit, like, fuck, like I said that. You know, he's like, but I think he knows he's saying it, but like, in those times, like, some of us, most of us, have the comprehension to be like,
what's coming out of his mouth is not what's going on in his head.
Yeah,
you know?
He's just out, you know, just out, and then think later, and then like, oh shit, I shouldn't have said that. But how I want to tie this into is Kim Kardashian, his wife. When your husband is saying some ridiculous things, apply to you guys aren't married, if you have a girlfriend or boyfriend. If your boyfriend or girlfriend is saying some ridiculous things publicly, and let's say, right now you might not be dating someone famous, but let's say you were, and you're in love with that person, and they're saying some outrageous things, and all your friends are like, that's your man? That's your girlfriend? Yeah, like, is this your king? Like, yeah, but do you think, how do you guys answer, how do you think that impacts your relationship when, one, they're saying things you don't actually agree with yourself, and two, the outside pressures of other people, like, so this is what you believe in your household, this is what, or you're still with him, so clearly you're okay with it. Like, how would you guys deal with that situation where your partner that you love is gone complete left field of your beliefs, but you still love that person? Is that grounds to break up, or
like just to clarify here, because in the I think there was like a New York Times article with Kanye that he had the other day, and he basically said that Kim said to him like, "Yo, like," she basically said like, "You're fucking the money up," right? By saying, and I mean, she's not wrong. Like that's essentially what it is. Like you can think whatever the hell you want about her. They know what they're doing when it comes to their money, right? And if she's saying like, "Yo, you're fucking the money up" by saying this wild shit, then as you should, then you have to understand like, okay, at what point do you say I'm gonna leave this person or not? Like, do you not know that this person is like this? Like,
No, you don't need any. That's
Hands.
hold on, we'll go over here first.
Okay, so when it comes to something like your values and principles, how do you as a person say you have character and you're with someone who doesn't believe the same things you do? Like, I'm involved in politics and I can't fuck with someone who doesn't vote. Like, that is one of the basic fundamentals I believe in. And it's like, yo, you don't believe in that? I can find, like, someone else to love. I don't like calling people replaceable, but, like, at the end of the day, if you don't stand for something, you fall for anything. And I don't like spineless men.
Fair. Quick question, though. Let's say when you met that person, they were all about voting.
Yeah.
And then through experience, maybe you guys have been together 5 years or so, and they vote every year, or every however years the voting comes. And they're just like, you know what, like, every time I vote, like, I don't feel like anything gets changed. So you know what? I'm done voting. Like, what if their actual mentality changed over time? Just I've always been voting my whole life, but I feel like my vote doesn't matter. I feel like I've been voting, nothing been changing. The people I want don't get put in office. I'm not gonna vote anymore.
So what else you been doing? You
Exactly.
volunteering in your... I'd ask them, like, what else you doing? You volunteering in your community? You do, like, doing any of those things? And it's like, after a while, if that person isn't interested in growing, I'm sabotaging my own success by staying with them. Because at the end of the day, like, you as a human being are always growing. If you cannot comprehend that and are willing to investigate different ways to grow, I gotta leave.
Okay.
Like, at the end of the day, there's 6 billion people on this earth. I'm not gonna, like, waste 40 years with some dude because he looks good and, like, he has a job.
Sure. Okay. No, I was just curious if that transition changed. Okay. Sure. Very different. Yeah, but.
When it comes down to the relationship topic, I think that top left, relationships are hard work. And that's just what it comes down to. When you meet somebody, you build a bond with them, you connect with them, that's what happens. But you guys are two different people, two different human beings. And not to offend the people that don't believe in God, but God made you guys two different people. And when you're in a relationship, you guys have to agree to disagree. You have to learn to compromise because someone is going to believe something else and you're going to believe something else. But, I believe in soulmates, and I believe that when you're with someone and you realize you love that person, if they have different views from you do, that's work. You work together to make something work because it's like starting a job. You go to work and you don't know how to do your job, but you get trained and then you become the best at that job. And your relationship, you're always gonna have to work at it. I've been in a relationship for 4 years and it's not easy. Like, there's days when, like, sometimes I want to punch off his face, and I'm sure sometimes he feels the same way about me. But at the end of the day, we sit down and we make shit work. And that's what it comes down to. You gotta work for what you believe in. If you look at someone and you know that in your heart you love that person, you make that shit work. Because yes, there's hundreds of billions of other people out there in the world, but yes, you could leave and you could be with someone else, but how does your heart feel? Does your heart feel like you're going to be able to make it work with that person? Because if you don't feel like that, then you realize that you love someone else and you got to go back.
So just to that was perfect. That was good. So I assume.
Hold on. Is this what you guys be saying when you're listening to the podcast? I'm just picturing them pausing. They're like, "Yo, these motherfuckers. What are they saying?"
Just to touch on what you said. So I assume you're on the side that you would work on it, regardless of Kanye going left field. She should work on it.
Kim Kardashian and Kanye West are two different people.
Absolutely different.
And you know what the thing is? They come together, and I believe that they are a good match for each other. Because at the end of the day, they're just fucking like each other.
Mm-hmm.
They're just
Yeah.
like each other, yo.
100.
So when Kanye goes off on a tangent and on a rant, like, yo, that, like, I don't know about all you guys that believe in science, but like that shit sometimes comes back down to how your personality is. And Kanye is a Gemini. For all you people that know Geminis and it's the twins and he's two-faced and he's this and this and that, like yeah, sometimes he goes off on a tangent and he rants and then he comes back and he's like, oh fuck yeah, I said that. And then Kim comes back and she's like, yeah, you're fucking up the money you said that. But at the same time, they understand each other and you don't know what goes on behind closed doors. They have an understanding. Right. That's why she's still with him.
Perfect. Just to touch on what you said. So people like to say, you know, there's 6 billion, 7 billion people in the world that can find someone else, whatever, right? Which is fine. But I feel like, personally speaking, when people find the person, I don't believe in the one, but when they find the person that's for them, whoever that might be, those numbers don't matter anymore.
Yeah.
Like, saying there's 7 billion people in the world is absolutely insignificant to me. You know what I mean? And yeah, I just feel like that. I'm not saying it's wrong for you to think that way. I just feel like if you had or have found that person.
What's your goal?
I'm sorry?
But at the end of the day, for me, it's like, what's your end goal? Because I'll love people throughout my life, but my end goal is to build a better world. So it's like, I say that because I can't guarantee I'll be in love forever. That person can't guarantee they'll be in love with me forever, but I'm ready to move on because I love myself that much.
Absolutely. It's not that I'm not even going at the fact that you loving yourself. It's a continual process with anyone you fall in love with. So at some point, if you have not reached that point, that's fine, because a lot of people don't either. But whenever you reach that point where you do feel like this is the person I want to build with for a long time or for as long as I can, I feel like your mentality will shift away from more about me and more about us. Like I feel like everyone reaches a level where it's like, okay, me, I want to get, and then you can get so much alone, but you don't. It's limited, and once there's a point of vulnerability that you have to be okay. Like, I can only do so much myself. You know what I mean? And as long as the person respects me and they're at least on the same path or direction as me, I'll take this chance. Everything's a chance. You don't know anything, and we don't know anything. So there has to be a point of unknown and vulnerability that you have to let yourself reach that you can't control it. Like I'm the same way in terms of control. Like when I don't know the outcome of something, it frustrates me sometimes. But I reached a point where you have to allow that point in your brain where it's like you're not allowed to know this part, and you have to be okay doing it, you know? Or else you'll always be like, oh, there's 6 million people. Oh, there's somewhere. Oh, there's more people. There's someone else. Like there'll always be someone else forever. You have to not want that anymore, you know? That's just the only way I have to adjust that, but yeah.
How do you, like, at what point do you know that you love someone, though?
Sorry?
At what point do you know that you love someone? Like, what?
You're asking me?
Yeah.
Oh. I thought you were asking me. At what point do I know I love somebody? I think because I'm a very busy person, and I'm very task-oriented, like my personality, when I don't get easily distracted by things, and I don't even the term missing. I don't technically miss people normally. I miss her sometimes because I'm in love with her. But stop it.
Yeah.
These are my teammates back there from university, the rambunctious crew back there. No, yeah, like I've never really missed, and I just feel like that feeling wasn't in me at the time because I wasn't in love before, and I'm so task oriented, just getting things done. But I feel like when I knew I was in love was like where I could want something for myself or want to get something done, but the joy I would get from personal success was no longer fulfilling for me anymore. Like it was like you can give me money, I can make money, I could get a new job, a new client, whatever, but it's just not about me anymore, you know? Like, but when there's a girl you just like, or a girl that you're just fucking and it's cool, like, she's like, oh, come over, you're like, I'd rather just make money, or I'd rather just do this, I'll come when I can, you know? But I feel like when you're in love, it's like, if you want to see the person, it's like, if I lose out on money, the time and experience with that person, it's not even comparable anymore, you know? So yeah, I think just the transition of removing personal and like independent and me and all this selfish success really shows yourself that you can love another person because you're able to share your time. Like sharing time is a big ass deal, you know. Like time, we don't have that back. It doesn't come back. So for someone to be like, I can go here or I can spend it with a human, and keep taking the human every time, like it's a big deal. So, what about you?
A lot of what you said is kind of how I feel. I think for me, the thing that comes to mind is, let's say, you know, a big experience is coming up.
Like
that's directly related to me. A client wants me to go somewhere for an extended period of time, right? The moment I start accounting for that person that I love right away, I'm like, okay, how is this gonna affect so and so? Like that's when I know that I'm really in love. Because most of the time I just kind of move, like doing my own thing. I never really took the time to sit back and be like, okay, like if I take this, how is this gonna affect this person, right? Which sounds kind of weird at the age of 26. Like you'd figure you'd know this earlier, but I don't know. I can just honestly say I don't think I was in like super serious relationships earlier on to really ever feel that way, right? So I mean, we'll talk about it later, like long distance relationships and all that bullshit. But, you know, my girl's literally on the other side of the country, and there are things going on here where I'm just like, I think about it, I'm like, fuck, like, I wish I could like tell her right away, or I automatically think like, okay, how am I gonna make this work when she gets here, right? So it's things like that, like first thing that comes to mind, essentially.
Just to roll off of that again, another topic we want to discuss, rather in depthly.
No, just in depth.
In depth. Was time management, which isn't a relationship topic, but it's a very, yeah, actually it can be applied to relationships, but I wasn't talking about in that aspect, but yeah, it's definitely applicable. For those of you who were at our last show, we had 80 people here, 83 people or something like that. Crazy turnout for our first show. Now we have, I think, 60 or so, which is cool. Less people, fine. All I care about is the core audience that we care about that are here. You guys are great. But some of our theories that Zamora and I were talking about is some changes that has happened since that last show. I quit my job in January. I do my photography, videography, and media stuff full time now. Took the leap on myself, will never look back. Best decision I ever made in my life. Traveled the world. I've been Europe. Like it's been crazy for me. He quit his job in February, March, right after me. We've motivated each other every single day. It just works for us. He's working with big clients. I'm working with big clients. That's absolutely amazing. Now, when we started this podcast, it was maybe first week of January of last year. So we've been doing it just over a year and a half now. And prior to both of us quitting, we had time. So we're doing it everywhere, on the ball, every single Friday. We're dropping these, and people are loving it. You guys are still loving it, but people are just on it. And a big thing about the environment we live in now in social media is consistency. It's just, if you want anything to work, you have to be consistent, because people's attention span is so quick that people, if you miss something, they're boring now. You need to be relevant in someone's mind consistently for them to be a client, for them to be a supporter, for whatever you want engagement from them. If you're not constantly on their brain, you're forgotten. It's just the way our world is. And our first podcast, our first live show did so well because we were just on it. Then I quit, and he quits. I'm traveling, he's traveling. We're all over the place. And we love doing this shit. So like we still try to get him out, but instead of every week, it's like every 2 weeks, once a month, a couple of times. Like we just, not that we didn't want to, like I'm physically not home and he's somewhere else, and it's like we just can't do it. And it shows. I think our plays on our page went from like 900 plays down to like 600, which is still good, but there's a direct drop based on our activity. Now, I'm very like super frugal with my time, and like I'm very particular how I get things done. He knows that. And we could have done a better job of managing our time, but to be honest, I didn't expect things to happen in my life. He didn't expect things to be happening in his life. So now at this point moving forward, I think we have a better understanding of how we're going to make this work and do it properly. But this was a direct wake-up call, like, yo, like, you guys aren't that shit yet. You guys aren't the shit yet. You know what I mean? Like, we're good, which is cool. We love you guys, but you can't get comfortable. And I'm not saying we're comfortable or we didn't appreciate what we're doing, but I feel like subconsciously we're like, our personal stuff is doing well, so the podcast, like, we'll do when we can. Like, it can't, like, it will show. It will show. And we're not untouchable, and he's more the nice guy out of both of us, which is cool. I'm more the direct person. Like, I have no problem calling my cell phone, being like, you're selling less tickets because you're not doing shit. You know, like, it's just what it is. You know what I'm saying? And that's the type of stuff we need in business and growth and whatever you're trying to pursue, because that's the only way you'll succeed. Like, consistency is one of the biggest things that I preach for myself, and for anyone to ask me how I get things done, it's just being consistent. And in terms of time management, like, people ask me how I juggle a lot of different things at once. Like, she knows, like, I do a whole bunch of shit, but I abuse my calendar. Like, if stuff's not on my calendar, it doesn't exist. Seriously, it doesn't exist. Because there's no way you can remember it all. You can't. It's impossible. You can't.
The guy that abuses calendar.
Bro, dog. If it's not in my calendar, it doesn't exist. And that's something I feel like if you guys are trying to pursue a business or trying to pursue whatever direction or creative area you're trying to expand, I feel like using your calendar is one of the best things I can tell you guys, and, like, using it very intensively. Like, to the smallest things, like, finish the project between 6 and 7. Or else you won't do it. Like, you just won't. 6 will come and you're like, I'm supposed to do something. Literally finish project between 6 and 7. Sleep at 10. Like, what as specific as you have to be, because our brains, there's so much distraction, so much shit out there that, like, you forget one thing, that's money. It's money, gone. You know what I mean? So that's my take on that. So, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, like, at the end of the day, it all kind of relates back to relationships, especially being in a long distance one. I have to manage my time really well. Especially because she's fucking 3 hours behind. So, I mean, that sucks. But what I kind of want to know is, it's a question to you guys. Like, what's something that you would like to see from us in the podcast, right? I feel like a lot of podcasts that are going on that are popular, they don't really ask their audience things that they'd like to see coming from the people that they're listening to. And I think that we have a certain we fit a specific niche, right? We're two black guys talking about relationships when, historically speaking, black guys are supposed to be emotionless, like that type of shit, which we know is not true, right? But now we just have a voice to these types of things. So, I mean, I'm curious, if you guys don't have anything off the top of your heads, that's fine. We can move on. But, shit, you're quick.
Super quick.
Yeah.
I think you guys have a lot of guests, but I think that sometimes it'd be nice to hear, like, more personal stories about their relationships, because we know a lot about, like, you guys' personal relationships, but just hearing new experiences, that way, like, we might, like, obviously we all grow, we get into new relationships, we have other people to kind of identify with instead of just you guys.
Okay. Yeah, it's definitely good.
It's perfect.
Yeah, for sure.
Anybody else? Yes, yeah. Go ahead.
I feel like you guys, like, I don't know, like, it's super nifty and stuff, but, like, make it more, like, interactive, like how you guys have, like, the icebreaker at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do a whole fucking show like that with, like, a bunch of randoms that listen to your show all the time.
Cool.
Okay. Yeah.
No, I like that. Yeah. Like, give the audio shows a live show experience, kind of. Yeah, basically. Okay. It's good feedback. Anybody else?
No?
Cool.
Okay. I actually wanted to touch on something else. Who was it that said Kim Kardashian ruined Kanye? It was you. Does anyone else believe that?
She ruined a lot of guys.
She did. It's not that, like, she ruined him, but, like, that whole family, like, they're bloodsuckers, yeah, and they're about their fucking money, like, you know, like, they'll let somebody run themselves into the ground or become useless to them. I know you guys don't agree with me, but, like,
I mean, apart from Lamar Odom, that situation is pretty messed
what's
up.
the other one? Chris Humphrey, she got her club.
Chris Humphrey's
They got
losing a
married.
good basketball player.
Reggie Bush.
I don't watch sports, I don't know. But the point is, you got your publicity, whatever. boom, diggity, you know what I'm
Raging.
saying? Why can't you be like the other two Jenner sisters who are like entrepreneurs and they're not really in like the limelight? And
I feel like you have a personal, like, thing. Like you're very jaded. It sounds very deep. No, I feel it. Okay. No, that's cool.
I mean, personally, for me, I think that like Kanye's probably been the happiest he's ever been, like since he had his kids with Kim. But I mean, like, yeah, that whole family's kind of wild. But if we're keeping it 100, I think Kanye was broken a long time ago.
Since his mom.
Yeah, since his mom died. But here's the thing. Here's the thing.
How do we know she wasn't in the background ruining him from like before?
Who, Kim?
When
they were friends?
And he used to dress her.
It's like the question they just asked, what was it, how many of you instigated fucking your friend's shit? How do we know she wasn't instigating shit?
Because he was running her. If you watch the show, he was the one rolling up telling her to run her life. I dress.
Different from the way they like.
Here's my argument with this whole Kanye thing though, right? Like, this guy just put out an album where he's basically telling you that he's bipolar, like he has some mental health issues, and those type of things. For me, like, that is a very sensitive issue, only because, like, okay, I feel like every relationship that you are in your life, you should take something from it, right? Even if those relationships don't work. So the last relationship I was in, like, I can say thank God I'm no longer in that. But truthfully, like, one of the things that relationship opened my eyes up to was people in like the homeless community and mental health, because she was a social worker. So I like really got to see that side of the world and understand that community. And one thing that really, really bothers me with the Black community in particular is our lack of discussion around mental health. And when someone in our community opens up about having mental health, more often than not, people are like quick to shake their head or like write them off about it. Yeah. Right? So I'm a little biased because it's true. Like I'm a Kanye stan. Like I'll always be one, regardless of the wild shit that he says. I'll still call him out on it. But this is someone that literally just told you, like, yo, I have like mental health issues, and the way that people are so quick to write this guy off kind of blows my mind, because a lot of us have been listening to this dude since we're like, I don't know, like 11 or 12. At least I was. So it's like, if you're quick to write someone off like that, who you've literally been listening to for more than 12 years, and your fucking iPod, MP3, iPhone, whatever it is, like, what does that say about how you interact with people that you actually know in real life? Right?
I don't.
You don't what?
I don't interact with people silence.
You don't interact with people at all, is what you're saying? Or?
I know, I'm crazy. I have mental illness. Whatever.
Okay. Yeah.
But like, yo. I get what you're saying. I don't listen to the album, so I didn't know. But it's like.
Okay, so I don't believe in this.
Like, hold on.
Yeah.
No,
we'll let
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Don't apologize, it's fine. Yeah.
It's okay. Go ahead.
Like, there's a point, like, there's so many people who suffer from mental illness, and like, you can't, like, obnoxious, like, you can't use it, like, you can't use it as an excuse.
Okay, so I'll rebuttal that. Like, at no point did I say that it's an excuse. Because I said right off the jump that, like, you know, I'll still call him out on his bullshit.
I know, that's your opinion, but I'm saying, like, not even based off of your opinion. I'm saying based off of his character.
But his character, like, people act like the way Kanye is now is not how he's always been. He's literally been this way since day one, and it was okay when he was saying certain things that y'all agreed with. I remember when Ye said that shit about Bush on TV. I remember a lot of black people. Hold up, I remember a lot of black people were still calling Ye wild for doing that, even though a lot of people were thinking what he was saying. But no one wanted to claim it publicly, right?
But you go from saying George
Bush doesn't care about black people saying slavery is a choice.
Yeah.
I can't
Okay,
get
so we'll
I can't get with that. I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay.
So this relates back to the relationship we talked about, right?
Yeah, okay.
Go on.
So, everyone just calm down. I'm just listening right now. I'm just listening for you guys. I only talk when I know what I want to say. So, yes, George doesn't care about black people. Slavery is a choice, or two opposite extremes. Got it. But, did you listen to himself explain why he said that?
I do. I work for a publication, so I have to write on these things.
Okay,
so
perfect.
I thoroughly went
Okay.
through it. I still don't agree with it. Like,
No, he doesn't agree with it.
But I feel like you know what the girl was saying. I'm a social worker too. I work in a homeless shelter with men. They're bipolar, schizophrenic, everything. They don't come to me and lash out like that in front of me.
But you can't. Okay.
So I'm not saying that I'm not typing. Like I'm not gonna be like, okay, you know what? He doesn't suffer because clearly he is suffering. He's admitted this. He's diagnosed. Cool. But I think that it's unfair to diagnose people that are suffering from mental illness and say equate that with just like lashing out because that's not the same.
Sure, but one. Snap. What? Sorry.
As an artist, like, he loves Kanye and he says, I will decipher, right? He has to be responsible, though, for his actions because we don't live in a society where everybody thinks everybody is nice.
Right.
We live in a society where, black people are suffering. Racism is going out of control. So when he says things like that, there are people, black people, who are going to agree. And even though he came back, because I watched everything, and I get it, he is suffering. He doesn't really know. He was trying to explain that,
can't articulate himself properly. Yes.
We're mentally enslaved.
Right.
He's saying that we are mentally enslaved and we're still mentally
right.
enslaved. He's not saying them shackling us.
Of course not.
Us like that was
yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
But at the same time, like, why are you on TMZ if you are suffering from this? And
so,
I get that he's Kanye, but as his wife...
But you can't say but. That's the problem. Okay, go ahead.
Because as his wife, if I know that my husband is suffering, yes, you're an artist, you can do your shows. I'm not going to say to stop you from your livelihood, but I would not be sitting down knowing that you're boiling right now, going on TMZ to say crazy shit. Let me talk it out. And the other issue is, Kim is a woman, not a non-woman of color. So certain things that Kanye says, I don't want to say it doesn't affect her, but it's not to say he needs a black woman. I think they're perfect together as well. But she might not get it and might not have that conversation.
Like the impact of it.
What are you saying?
Right.
Look at your children. Look at their children. They're biracial children, but when you see them, they're of darker skin. They're going to struggle with certain things, maybe not because they're rich and they're famous, but you have to be responsible. That's what's happening in our society. So, yes, he's having a mental break, but take control of your man and hold him down when he doesn't need to be on TMZ saying all this.
Right, okay, perfect. But to address everything you just said, independently, one, not all women have that power over their man to control him like that. So you can't say you should and vice versa. You can't say you should get your she can't. Which is it just is what it is. She can't. So, right, whatever. But two, what she said she works with mental ill people all the time, and they don't do that. You can't compare illnesses and how people react. You can't say because I've never experienced people that I work with and they also have the same disease or same illness. They don't react like. So what? Like. I'm not disrespecting you, but you can't compare how someone reacts on illnesses to say. But that's a comparison. No. But right, I don't think he's fully justifying what he does because he's bipolar. I'm not saying. I don't think he really thinks that the only reason I do this is because I'm bipolar. I think.
Yeah, he actually said that's not the
he has a personality. He has personality issues. It might not be specific because he's bipolar, but it's not the sole issue why he does things. And we can't argue he's doing it because he's bipolar. No, but he does have an illness and maybe more illnesses. But we can't just surround that. Well, other people don't do that, so why is Kanye doing it? Kanye has been wild his whole life.
At the end of the day, we have what we're saying right now. We're seeing these things from Instagram, on Twitter, and Facebook. We don't know these people.
Of course not.
I work in media. I work for Care and Civil, so I have to observe these things. But like, it's the same time, we don't know these people. We're seeing the perception of what they're bringing out.
Sorry, I have two comments, okay, for what the lady said. So I wrote it down because, sorry, you guys were going off. But you said something in regards to if I was his wife, I would not allow him to do something. See, when you guys were speaking up there, I didn't usually define love. Because sometimes you love them as a parent, or you affect people. And there's a difference. Kanye is a grown adult. And yes, he's expressing himself as if he has mental illness, but people they have their own way of coping in therapy. So maybe his therapy, and also let's touch on his psychology, maybe he's an extroverted person. So he has to think through by talking out loud. And then he, like you said before, he processes it later and he revises himself. And he's like, you know what? I was wrong. And or what, I think it was T.I. commented on the Breakfast Club. He's like, he needs a translator. Because, you know what? He's actually really high functioning in regards to his mentally. Like, he is an artist. He's brilliant. He just is misunderstood. He just can't, it's just we don't understand him sometimes. Some of us do, not to make any generalization, it's a fallacy argument. But yeah, you have to define love. Because people can love people and parent them at the same time or think they're in love, so define that first and yeah, that's my opinion.
No.
Okay, get the conference.
Right. Don't let him speak.
And I just want to follow on that because one of the things that I noticed is that all this comes down to context. They're married, they have kids. She knows that he's extroverted from the jump. She accepted that going into the marriage. So being on Team Z and if he's being erratic about one thing about black people and George Bush, or slavery, like who knows what he can say. She's accepted that he's erratic, and she's dealing with that and working on it in their relationship. In any relationship, you know what you're going to put up with. It's all about what you're going to put up with that person and knowing where you're going to go or how you're going to go from that.
Thank you.
Right side.
You guys are such assholes.
Right side.
Akeem, thank you. Warren, he's just emotionless. It's okay, we know.
Well, then call me Drake then.
Alright, no, that's good, guys. Yeah, we don't want to discuss too much about Kanye, but we just want to see how we can apply.
Well, it applies back to like the whole relationship side of things because I don't know. I obviously do think there is a limit, right, to how many times you can say something and then like go back and clarify it after. Like I can't like say some mean shit to you and then clarify why I said it later on. You know what I mean? Like that's just ridiculous. But I mean, I think that situation like rubbed me the wrong way because I mean, Ryan and I talked about in the previous podcast. I watched it when he said what he said on TMZ. I knew it sounded wild, but I knew that's not what he was trying to say. And then literally like 10 minutes after the interview,
They ran with it. They just ran with it.
Yeah, 10 minutes after the interview, he was on Twitter, his favorite fucking app, where he clarified what he was saying. Where he said, "I do not believe that like we chose to be shackled and all that bullshit." My issue and how we related it to the relationship side of things is, you know, if someone like will clarify something to you that is like that you actually agree with, why am I still mad at you? So like this relates to like relationship stuff because I've been in situations where, you know, like a girl has gone mad at me about things. I've clarified it and then they're still mad down the road. And I've done the exact same thing, right? So it's like, did you really get over it, or is the problem still there? Is that a communication issue? Like, what do you think it is?
100%. You have to communicate. And sometimes people aren't going to understand what you say because you're your own person at the end of the day. So if I turn to you and I say, like what you just said, you can't say some mean shit to me and then justify it.
Yeah.
I say mean shit all the time all the fucking time to justify it. And it's just like, because it's like, yo, honestly, you have to learn to live in the third degree.
Yeah.
You're driving to work, right? And someone zooms past you and cuts you off. You're cussing at that person because they cut you off. But what if that person cut you off because they're driving to an emergency? You don't know that. You're just mad at them.
Context, right?
Yeah. You have to communicate with people because I'm gonna say one thing, you're gonna say something. It's a broken telephone. You don't know. Like the way I'm gonna say something is not the way you're gonna say something. So that's why you have to communicate and find common ground so you understand people. That's how relationships and communication works.
I want to jump in the communication part. So Zamora and I, we want to discuss rather in detail communication and how it's, I guess, how it's changed in our current just environment and just through social media and all this shit we have right now. Why relationships aren't lasting, or they aren't existing, or they're limited, or just, it's just a very tough era right now to find love or just a partner. And some people don't want love; they just want someone fun to be around. Like even that. And both of us are, well, not anymore, but both of us were in long distance relationships. I'm no longer in one. She's now moving here, which is great. But if you guys don't know who Rhonda is, by the way, Rhonda is my girlfriend. I'm not going to embarrass her, but I already am.
She's blushing.
Zamora is now, he's still in his long distance relationship right now. That will be ending for him as well soon. But communication is such a... Communication is such an important thing, especially for long distance relationships. And when we were planning the show, we were both just like, well, it was my idea that I wanted you guys to leave with something, and he agreed definitely. And what we determined would be the thing is something that I feel might be something we don't really think about, but if we explain it, you guys might feel the same way or agree or disagree, and we can have a discussion about it. Is I feel everyone that does want a strong relationship should at least experience long distance at least once. I will. What I just realized. What? I know we're both gonna explain why, but that I'm gonna leave that as my thesis. That I feel like everyone should experience. Doesn't have to do it. Like doesn't have to continue with it, but I feel like they should experience it at least once. That is just my thesis for the night. Whether it's for you or not for you, it should be experienced by everyone at least once. This is why we're talking now. I'm joking. But yes. Sorry, you're gonna say something?
I just had like an epiphany because I already knew what I was gonna say going into this.
Yeah.
But you guys know that I used to think it was so bullshit, the fucking 90-day rule. You guys know that?
Yeah.
You ever heard of that? Where it's like you meet someone new that you're actually really into, you don't have sex for 90 days with them, like you get to know each other. You used to laugh? Like I used to laugh. I'm like, that's crazy. If I like you, we're probably gonna have sex. You like me, I like you. But like being in a long distance relationship pretty much was like a forced 90-day rule. That like now that I really think about it, because I think the main reason why I love Jamie so much, and why I'd fucking fly to Vancouver where there's no black people out there to go see her, is because I actually spent like so much time literally just talking to her. You know, like I can't see her physically, and sometimes when you're in those beginning stages of when you're feeling someone, sometimes you're hanging out, and because you like each other so much, you end up doing physical shit, and then you forget to take that time initially to like get to know each other.
Quick interjection, sorry.
Yeah.
By a show of hands, how many of you have done long distance relationships? At least one.
How far is long?
Whatever was long distance to you. Whatever you, long distance. Okay, and just relax. Just to explain, whatever like long distance isn't. Yeah, long distance isn't a certain kilometer distance. It's whatever you feel is fucking too far. It's long. Yeah, whatever is too far for you to reach that man or girl is long distance to you. Whatever. If you live in Brampton and your man lives in Ajax and you don't drive, that's long fucking distance. That's like, it is. That's far. It's far.
Yo, ladies.
It's just important context to your life.
Yeah, ladies, how many of you have been talking to a man? Wait, how many of you live in Toronto? Any of you? Okay, for the girls that live in Toronto, how many of you talk to a man? You ask where he lives. he says saga, and you cock up your face like he lives in Timbuktu. Isn't that wild? Isn't that wild?
But again, most people in Toronto, not all, don't drive, right? But that's why I'm saying long distance is whatever is too far for your means of distance. That's it. So again, sorry I didn't get the tally. How many people have been in a long distance relationship to them? Not every, but okay, a good amount of you have done it. So, of the people who put their hands up, how many people are still in those long distance relationships?
Wow,
okay. And again, from those people with their hands up, how many people in their long distance relationship will have it come to an end at some point soon?
Put them hands up.
Sorry, not the relationship. The distance come to an end. Sorry, not the relationship. Sorry. How many people?
That got dark real quick. That got dark real quick.
You guys are all over. It's over. No, sorry. Other people doing long distance relationships, how many of you have some type of end date sometime soon? Okay, cool. That is the most important part to me. Some brief background on me and her. We broke up 3 years ago, and we're now back together now. In those 3 years, I dated other girls, I met other people, she met other guys, whatever. And it didn't work back then because we had a tentative end date, but as the date got closer, there's pressure, she wasn't ready, I wasn't ready, and then there became no real end date. And that unknown feeling doesn't make long distance relationship work. It's a cancer to it. And it creates stress, it creates frustration, it creates pressure that shouldn't be there. You start to dislike the person because they said one thing and now it's just unnecessary when there's no discussion. So my perspective now, like I've even told him, I've told her, I would never do long distance. Like I'm not doing it. But now there's some context to it where I would never do it without an end date actually discussed. Whether it's a year, whether it's 2 years, I don't care how long it is, but it has to be discussed and it has to be like agreed upon. Not like maybe like we're doing this for such time, because we're beings of achievement. Like we like working towards things. That's just what we are as people. We like having some type of end goal, some type of thing to work towards. And when things are just open-ended, you don't have the same motivation. You don't have the same eagerness and hunger to get things done, because it's like, how much longer do I have to do this for? But even if it's 2 years, you're like, okay, 2 years is locked? Okay, I'm going to do this for 2 years. I'm going to buckle up, work my ass off for 2 years, and when a year, okay, 1 year, you know what I mean? But when it's just, let's just try it. Let's see how things go. I'm never seeing how things go. I'm telling you, like, never. We're not seeing how things go. And then that's a cop-out for anyone. Back there?
Yeah,
go ahead.
Question. So,
sorry.
You said you and your girl did long distance, right?
Yeah, come to the mic.
You can't hear me?
Yeah, you talk. Go ahead. You're a grown man. Can't hear me? Go ahead.
So did you guys have a discussion on like an end date?
I'm sorry, say again?
Did you and your girl have a discussion on an end date when you couldn't do long distance anymore?
The first time?
Yeah.
We did, but it was tentative. And then when that date came, it kind of was like, I don't know.
So if there was no end date, you only be together right now? Don't answer it.
No, say it. Honestly, no. Honestly, no, because there would be no point of us doing it again to go back to what we didn't work.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? The only reason doing it again is because we're like, all right, we're back in each other's lives now. Are we doing this now or not? You know, because it didn't work the first time because of this reason. There's no point of us opening the door again with another open door, right?
You can't do it forever.
So yeah, we technically no, we wouldn't be, to be honest.
All right.
Yeah, I think that's all I was saying.
Yo, you might be in the doghouse tonight, my bad.
No, she's straight. So the reason I talked about communication, was my thesis saying I feel like everyone should do it at least once is because being in both relationships, one where it's distance and one where it's someone that's you always have access to them all the time, they live down the street or whatever, or you can get to them if you want to, second if you feel like it, all that kind of stuff. The ease of accessibility creates a complacent and comfortable I guess, halo around you that you almost forget the communication part. Like, you almost take it for granted. Like, I don't have to talk that much because we're good. Like, we see each other, we're good. We go out, we chill. So much time will go by and you guys haven't really talked because you see each other. And it's like, you can be dating for a year and someone can be dating long distance for 3 months and know way more about their girlfriend or boyfriend because they have to, right? So, go ahead.
I don't know. I feel like I disagree with that, though.
Of course, you can. This is all about opinion. There's nothing I say is fact.
I don't want to talk too much of our business, babe, but like, but we met on Twitter.
English strong. Better than Tinder.
Yeah, I went up. What happened again? Yeah, it was around my time that Get Out came out last year. Okay. And I called him up. I'm like, "When you taking me on a date? Like, you're talking to me. I have no time for this. Like, take me on a date." And he's like, "Word, okay, I'll take you the next day." We went on a date. Yeah. And it was a great date. 5 days later, we were in a official relationship. I met his mom and everything like that. But
5?
Yeah, it went past 5 days.
There's no timelines on love. Like being dead ass serious.
So 5 days later, I meet his mom. It's all cool. Then 3 weeks later, it's great. We're talking every single day. Even to this day, I call him like 3-4 times a day to say, "Good morning. How are you doing? How's your day going?" I live in Scarborough. He lives in Saga, so like it's kind of long distance.
There's some distance, but yeah.
But like I don't know what it is with our relationship, but like I don't let a minute go by without making sure I check in with him and say, "How are you? Good?" Whatever. And I feel like even if we're kind of close, I don't take advantage of that because like I have a daughter and I have my own stuff to do too, but like I'm very I make time all the time for what we need to do. And we're going on 2 years and like it's been hurdles over the time because it wasn't a traditional relationship. But like that doesn't, to me, we always check in with each other. There's not been every weekend since we dated, he's seen me every weekend. Every Saturday he's at my house. Not one Saturday he missed any Saturdays. He never ignores no text. If we get in an argument, he texts me. He's like, "Yo, babe, let's talk about it right now." So like, I understand what you're saying because you're right. When you have access, people take advantage of that access. Like, she's down the street.
Definitely not all.
Yeah, like not all, but like they take advantage. But like, you have to make it work. If you love somebody, you have to make that shit work. Especially in Toronto, make it work.
Yo, this guy's about to go to the gym and bench 300 weight gas in a month. Holy shit. The way you gassed this man up, holy.
So,
I want him on my team, bro. You're on my team,
So, everything you said is absolutely great, and I'm glad that works for you guys. The part I wanted to key in on something you said was he's at your house every weekend, right? Checking. That's the part that I'm saying is withdrawn from distance. That when people don't have that, like that's great that he's doing. That's fucking great that he's doing that. But if he wasn't doing that, the ability for you to cope with that is what strengthens your relationship. That he's not doing that and can't do that, even if you wanted to. Because there's a lot of people that, fuck, if I wanted to be in fucking Newfoundland every weekend if I could, but I can't. Yeah, she's from Newfoundland. But I can't physically be every weekend because finances, whatever, like time, like, so how do you cope with that? When even, she knows I would if I could, but I can't. That's the part you can't, right? So for you guys, it's a little different because you know he wants to because he does. But there's relationships where you know he wants to and he can't. That's where the stuff gets hard because it's like, yeah, go ahead.
I feel like it's about to get real in here.
Let's get real. It's cool.
But I feel like for the most part, the girls look to for long distance wise, they look to the guy to make a decision. Cause guys, we need the physical part to it. We don't need, but
What decision do you mean? What decision?
For long distance wise.
You like the decision to leave,
yeah,
or for them to come,
or if we want to do the long distance. So I feel like girls mostly put it on the guy. Like, oh, can you handle me not being here physically? Cause most girls can do it. 90% of the girls.
I get the angle you're saying. No, I get the angle. You're saying...
I can handle it, but he could.
I get the angle, yeah. I get your angle, okay. So your argument is most girls, or let's just say a lot of girls,
are down to do it.
Are down to do long distance, but it's more the guys that are not.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can
say it's a fair argument.
I understand like the physical side of it. Like I don't want to say like one gender, you know, is fucking hornier than the other. That's not entirely true. Like it's not true. We know that. Like trust me, we know that. But like the perception is like guys like to get around and all that bullshit. But like I think the common theme here, like in terms of long distance relationships that you're talking about, and then this relationship here, a lot of it really just comes down to the two people that are involved. Because honestly, if I really think about it, I probably couldn't, like I most likely couldn't have done a long distance relationship with my past relationships. Like if it was long distance, I don't think I would have been able to do it, just because I don't think like we meshed the same way. And yeah, like there's just a lot of factors that are played into it. Right? I spent a lot more time like getting to know the person as opposed to them being here. But I think, God forbid, let's say like my relationship ended like tomorrow. I think, as I said before, having taken everything from past relationships, I would probably do my best going into the next one to like take a lot more time, like communicating off the jump, like really trying to getting to know this person, because man, it's real easy to like fall in love with, you know, the sexual side of things, and then like you get lost in the sauce, and then you realize, oh shit, like do I really love this person, or do I just love the sex? Like, what it is.
For both of you, I think it's key though, and something I'm forgetting is in the time that you guys spent apart from each of your partners or previous relationships and so on and so forth, you had the time or the opportunity to get to know yourself better.
Absolutely.
So I think that plays a big role in long distance, whether something's down the street from you, and really the opportunity to get to know someone it becomes important as you get older, and when you know what you want and sort of that sort of thing. So I think that should also be mentioned. And I also don't think I don't think long distance is better for relationships than closer or vice versa.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, I don't think it's better for a relationship, but as we're saying, getting to know yourself better, I think it's better for you as a person, and it challenges you. And I think distance makes the heart grow fonder, and that's how you really are able to understand if this is something that you want to work towards. I've been in relationships where when the sex fell off, that's when I realized that I didn't want to be with the person. So it's like, why didn't I realize that before? And I personally, my first two relationships, I started out very young. I made the choice to date athletes when I was young. So they always ended up going away to prep school or this, that, and the other. And those people are still in my lives. We're not dating, but the connection that we have can never be taken away from us, and they're still in our lives. So I think that's important for you as a person, not just the relationships that you're in.
And I've done long distance, and if it comes back to, you know, being friends and stuff, I don't talk to the person I was with back then, and it didn't really have anything to do more so with him and, no, it's okay, the relationship. It really had to do with me, and I guess obviously it's individual, experience is individual, and I wouldn't take that away from anybody, but I think it's really important, and I think we downplay it a little bit too much, the significance of getting to know yourself better when you're in a relationship. Because distance can't teach you that, being close to somebody can't teach you that, and so sometimes spending time alone and apart from people you may have been with previously, or you know you're looking to be with, spending time alone will really show you what you're prepared for, what you're ready for, and what you're willing to take, because relationships aren't just, you know, the ending. The ending, say, like, Rhonda moving here isn't the end date for us. It's the whole future, right? So I think there's more to it than just an end date, really, in the distance and so on and so forth.
I just have a question for people that have been in long distance relationships. Long distance relationships and cheating. How do you deal with that? Is it easier to deal with someone that is like closer within proximity with cheating, or is it harder to deal with someone that's further away? I'm just out of curiosity. Okay.
Yeah.
Because like my thing is like if someone like lives far away, let's say, and they cheat on you, like this is just my personal perspective. Obviously, I can't really speak on it too much, but like wouldn't that be wouldn't that be easier to deal with because like they're already kind of far away? You don't have to run into another grocery store or whatever.
I understand I actually understand that line of thinking. I think, like I spoke on the podcast, and I've been cheated on before, so I now have to be honest, it's kind of fucked up, but I now have a mindset where, like, I'm very upfront about it in the sense where it's like, okay, like, I'm gonna date you, and if you, like, cheat, it's just over. Like, it doesn't matter how much I love you, and the whole reason my line of thinking is that way is because I had stayed in the relationship after getting cheated on, and then after I was done, I was talking to Ryan about this, I was like, yo, why did I allow, like, certain shit to go on, you know, like, I didn't realize, like, how dumb I looked, like, walking around. Like, even though there were situations where I really felt like I loved this person. Sorry, I can't remember who said it before. I think it was you, but it's like, I really do love myself. I should love myself enough to not let myself get disrespected like that. So I understand, like, you know, them being distant, it means, like, I don't have to physically see them and then get angry, like, every time. But I just wouldn't be able to.
And they also can't, like, even though, because, like, we've all been through it, you break up, but then the person shows up to your crib and you guys talk it out, and all of a sudden you guys are back together.
Yeah.
Whereas with long distance, I would argue that maybe that's a lot easier because you literally, like, they don't have, there's no door for them to literally just pull up on you, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, like, because you can train yourself to be like, you know what, I'm not going to answer. I can block their phone number and, like, they're not going to pull up on me.
Yeah. So what was that?
It depends. I've been in a polyamorous, long distance relationship with someone.
Yeah.
I have no idea what
that Define what that is, please.
So I was in a relationship with someone, and like we had physical relationships with other people, but at the end of the day, like that's my person.
Yeah.
So I think one of the hardest things for me was when we started to emotionally
connect with those people.
Yeah. Because all of a sudden it turns into like, am I not enough for you? Like, why can't you tell me these secrets? And that hurt more than anything physical to me because it started to deteriorate my level of trust with that person. At the end of the day, like, physical bodies are physical bodies, but when it comes to your character, if I can't trust you, it starts to deteriorate your sense of character with me, and it's like, I don't know how to describe it, but it's just like,
I get it.
Yeah, it's like, I can't trust your character, it's like, I'm done with you.
So I have a question for you, because that's a very, it's a difficult situation for most people to do. So the fact that you're able to do that, I commend you on that. My question for you is, so when you agree to have sex with other people or see other people or whatever, and that's something you guys are like, all right, we're cool with doing this, do you feel that, yeah, like we discussed before, but there's the ability to have sex without feelings, for sure. But did you have, I guess, stipulations on how many times you can see a particular person? Or is it like, these are curious, actual curious questions I have, because what I feel is if you're having, it's still very difficult, but if you're having sex with different people all the time, and it's just like, we're agreeing to just have sex with different people, but you've never seen that person again, it's just like, this is sex, this is sex, this is sex, whatever, you're my person, I'm your person, I feel like that's very doable if it works for you, because you're not seeing that girl again. You can do it, but you're never seeing it for the rest of your life. Like, you know what I mean? I feel like that's doable. But once, with anyone, man or woman, once he sees her or she sees him again, you like something. Whether it was the sex or the person or both, or it's just, as humans, like, you can have sex without feelings, maybe once, because you actually don't know that person. Don't know anything about them, don't know how it felt, whatever. That was the first time, oh wow, like, okay, cool. Never seen them again. But if that person keeps going to the same person again, I just feel like...
And that's where emotion comes in, because it's like, you wouldn't be going to that person over and over again.
But I'm saying, was that something you stipulated when you guys talked about this?
Yes, and it
very
was just
specifically.
like, I needed him to tell me who this person was, where they met them, blah, blah, blah. So
But it can only be once. You discussed this very specifically? I'm asking you directly because I'm not blaming you, but this is your fault. I'm just saying.
Your fault?
Let me clarify. What I'm saying is your fault is the way you're feeling is your fault, because if you enter something like that, which is fine, your choice, if you're going to enter something, it has to be very specific, because otherwise you can't necessarily get mad at him, because guys are very simple. We're very simple. And it is, we're simple. So if you don't say do this specifically, they're going to do it. And you can't get mad at him because you didn't say I couldn't do it. But if you do say you cannot see this girl again and I do it, then it's disrespect.
Yes.
You didn't, but what I'm saying is you didn't specifically tell him you can't see certain people more than once.
Okay, so I need
Go
to
ahead.
explain the
Sure.
situation. The girl that he started to talk about was this girl at work. They didn't fuck each other, but he was starting to chat about her. And I'm like, yo, I'm kind of caring about this girl. What's going on?
He's telling you about this thing.
Yeah, oh, she's so nice. She takes my shift. She does this for me. She does that for me. I was like, yo, if you feel that way, go wife her. Like, but at the end of the day, I've never had that issue with like, oh, you can only see her once, because like that's all the time you ever see them. At the end of the day, it's more like men want to constantly see me is the issue. So
okay, talk things.
At the end of the day, it was just like, for me, we had like, it's for us, it's like vicarious ambition.
Okay.
At the end of the day, like, he needs to travel for work, I need to travel for work, but like, yo, this is my, like, this is the person I roll with, this is the person I know has my back, and like, for me, like, sex is like when I'm hungry, I eat something, so like, if I'm horny, I'm getting hungry, I'm gonna get it. But that's, it's just,
No, I hear. Yeah. We all function differently, for sure. Absolutely.
Like, oh, sex is like this sacred thing, you should only have it with one person.
Exactly.
Like,
No, it's viewed very differently based on the person. I hear you. Yeah.
Like, at the end of the day, like, if I marry this student, like, if I decide to marry him, I already told him, it's just us. Like, I'm not going to get legally entrapped in all this, and you bring all these other people in it. Nah, it's not splitting my pension 5 ways.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
you just need to care about it. Because at the end of the day, for me, it's like, my soulmate isn't just, like, the person that I spend the rest of my life with. It's the person that, like, God forbid anything happens, they're going to take care of my kid and treat me fairly. They're going to be nice to, like, it's like co-parenting. You can love someone, have a kid with them, break up, and you can still hold it down for the main goal of taking care of that child.
Sure.
And that's what it's all about. Like, what is it that you're trying to do together?
Got it. Thank you. I've always found that interesting. I can't do what you were talking about, but I always find that interesting.
I'm still young and hungry.
Hey, no. I've always found it interesting when people can have a relationship with, like, people have sex with a girlfriend or vice versa with a boyfriend. I've always found it interesting because it takes a certain type of, I'm not saying kind of person, because that phrases as a person something wrong with them. Like, there's nothing wrong with them, but it takes a certain type of, I guess, mentality or like psyche that allows you to be okay with that. And maybe, or probably not maybe, most likely is because we're very possessive beings, and I just associate how I care at someone with possession, and those people that can do that don't.
Well,
I also say there is actually a big fucking difference. I just figured this out. I was in a polyamorous relationship. I didn't know there was something such as yeah, whatever.
Don't worry, let's go.
So I didn't realize there was something called polygyny.
Okay.
Which is more has to do, like, it's more religion based, where like the man has 2 wives. It's not polygamy.
Polygyny.
No, it's not.
You said polygyny.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So there's 2 different.
Polygamy and polygyny.
So there's polyamorous, there's polygyny, and then there's polygamy. Yeah. Polygamy is what.
Do you guys know you're coming to sex ed today?
Polygamy is what people see like sister wives or whatever. Okay. That's a little different. Polygyny is like Moses or Jacob and Rebecca and the other sisters.
Okay.
Jacob and the
yeah, I said it. Go ahead, get to the point. Let's go.
But like, people don't realize there's a difference, and I think when people kind of don't do their research before entering into something like this, yeah, it kind of does get fucked up. And that's just all I have to say. I'm just saying.
To wrap it up, I just think this comes down to ego. If you can check your ego at the door, then you can do this type of shit. Anyway, moving on. This is part of the show where we ask you guys to ask us questions that you probably have had on your mind, and then we'll answer them. So, we got one over there in the corner.
Yeah, sure.
In regards to, do you believe in falling in love? And I hate to use the word falling in love. Do you fall in love, or do you just love the person? Which one is it? Do you believe in falling in love? Do you fall in love, or do you love the person? What's the difference?
What's the falling in love or just loving?
Yeah. Do you believe in the actual phrase falling in love, or is it just romanticized?
I think it's romanticized. I think falling in love is really like falling in infatuation. Like people think like I really don't believe it's possible to like.
I don't think it's instant.
Yeah, I don't think love is a instant thing. Like you might.
Okay, then my rebuttal is: do you fall in love with your child or a baby, or you just love it instantly?
Whoa.
How did we get here?
Yeah, like that. Yeah, that's no, like to answer. Yeah,
I feel like that was the main question. Okay. Cool. No, thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
And we should say women, not girls. And I'm like, okay, so I have a question for them, because you guys are extremely intelligent. I'm hearing you talk, I'm hearing that you the word to use in your body language. And I want to know, you don't instantly fall in love with the baby, so do you fall in love with a partner?
No. Like I think like, okay, let me clarify the whole baby thing, right? If I like, let's say my girl is having a kid, like we're having a kid together, I'm technically gonna fall in love with that baby the moment it's born, unless it's fucking butt ugly. Like, I'm still gonna love the baby, but let's be real. I know you women have looked at some babies and said they're ugly. Come on, let's be real. Regardless, when the baby comes out, I'm still gonna love it. I'm gonna love it regardless. But a lot of it has to do.
Oh my God!
Listen, hold on.
I'm listening.
A lot of it has to. I've heard you say the thing, Brand. Anyway,
I didn't sound like my own child.
Look. A lot of it has to do with the fact that while your wife is pregnant or your girl is pregnant this entire time, you're developing a love for this baby before it's even born.
Like the idea of it.
So like, you're like, the moment this child is born, I'd like to think you'd fall in love with it right away. But if I meet a girl like at the fucking bar tonight, it's highly unlikely I'm gonna fall in love with her. Like, there's nothing a woman could do, and like vice versa for the women here. There's nothing a person could do that could literally make you fall in love with them right off the bat. If any of my boys saw a girl and said, yo, I'm in love with her, I would tell them to fucking leave, because I think there's something wrong with them. Like, it's not possible. It's not possible. Something's wrong there.
Questions? Questions? Yeah. Is that you? Huh? You got a hand up?
No, you put my hand up. No, I think she put my hand up because of the fact that you're saying there's nothing someone could do that'll make you fall in love with them, right?
Okay, you guys are the novel. You fucking fell in love in 5 days. Like,
yeah, so no, that's what I was gonna say.
Get out of here.
No, I agree with that. But like, back to what Ryan was saying. He's like, yo, guys are very simple, and I feel like we'll meet a girl and we'll know within maybe the first day, like, is this gonna be like a couple weeks or like is this serious? You know? Okay. So I feel like that's the closest we'll get to like instant like.
Yes, that is the closest, but a lot of it, okay, like as humans, I think a lot of it has to do. I might be in trouble for this, but a lot of it has to do with like the physical side of things. Like, you can look at someone right off the bat and know, okay, like, I'm gonna talk to them for an extended period of time because I think they look good, right? But it's like when you have that initial conversation with them, I think that's when you really know, all right, maybe I'm gonna continue this. Like, maybe it's gonna last a little bit longer. Because I know for a fact there have been times where I've seen someone I thought was good looking and I talked to them, and I no longer thought they were good looking, right? So we've all been there at some point.
So go ahead.
This is a different question.
Okay, go ahead.
I need the mic.
That's my younger brother, ladies and gentlemen.
Sounds just like someone.
All right, so this is a question for everyone.
Sounds just like him.
Yeah, you were moving, so I had to move. It's a question for everyone. So, if one of your friends if one of your friends gets cheated on, and they decide to stay with that person, I'm thinking like this because of like Beyonce and Jay-Z, and I still see like a lot of women like fuck Jay-Z, like but Beyonce is still with Jay-Z. So, like, what do you guys feel about if, you know, one of your friends gets cheated on, but they still choose to stay with that person? Like, are you, like, does your opinion of that person change, like, who they're with? Or even if you're a friend, like, what would you do?
I have two best friends. I have this one here. My other best friend has had toxic relationship after toxic relationship, and it's gone to the point where I think she invites that. I think she likes that energy, but I stopped. Like, I was upset with her for allowing that, and then after a while I realized you can't make anybody learn a lesson before they're ready to learn it. So I can be there to support her in the best way that I can as a friend. I can give my opinion when it's needed. I don't really talk about it, but I can't tell her that she shouldn't be with the man that she loves. That's not my place. I can help her through whatever she wants me to help her through, but I can't tell her who to be with.
I'm just gonna agree with that too. She's not calling me out, but I personally have been in relationships where she's like, "You're actually being a dumbass." But at the end of the day, it's hard to tell somebody. One, you can't tell somebody what to do, no matter what. From the outside looking in, you can give your opinion. And a lot of people, like, I have a lot of friends and coworkers that come to me for advice about their relationships. And they might say, "Oh, what would you do?" And you can always say what you would do, but unless you're in that person's situation, you're on the outside looking in. We talked about Kanye's relationship and Kim, and we're all giving our outside opinion. None of us are in their relationship. So we can, of course, like, observe it and give our opinions, but unless someone's, like, abusing your friend, it's not really your place to be like, "Oh, yeah, I don't think you should be with him," whatever. You can be like, "You know what, you deserve better," but it's your decision whether or not you'll continue this. But at the end of the day, you can't tell somebody to leave a relationship. The only time I think you should intervene or maybe feel a little bit of a weight is if it's, like, physically abusive. Most women have been in emotionally abusive relationships, so that's, again, a little bit harder. But if it's physical, where your friend is physically in danger, then yes, of course, intervene, and you should definitely be a little bit harder on them. But I've been in situations, my friends have been in physically abusive relationships, and no matter, like, what you tell them, broken arms, this, that, and the other, at the end of the day, that's what they want, because what you invite and what you allow will continue for sure.
Can I just add to that? In regards to your friend being in, like, physical abuse, right? Don't you think it's kind of funny though? Because I know you said everybody's been in an emotional abusive relationship, which is your psyche. And I think that, humans we're our minds, and this is just, what we use to express ourselves is our hands and stuff like that. Don't you think if you would have to help her first get over that psychological abuse, she wouldn't be in that physical abuse? It's just like that Stockholm syndrome where the person that's being abused, they end up defending their abuser because psychologically they've been, manipulated.
Right. It definitely starts from it being, like, mentally abusive and emotionally abusive, and then it turns physical. And it starts in that way, but also it kind of gets to that stage. And yes, I could use my own personal experience, because yes, I've been in an emotionally abusive situation before, where I have chose to leave. But you can even say that. But no matter what, like, just like beyond Scared Straight, you bring these bad youths to, like, the prison, and they still go on like they're, like, big fun, right? So no matter what, like, you tell somebody, you can put, like, look in the face, and don't be like, "We don't do this," and at the end of the day, they're gonna make that decision for themselves. You can give them as much advice. You can say, "Hey, I've been in this situation. This is what I did." But unless that person is just like, "You know what, I'm going to listen to you," they're going to still right their wrongs. They're still going to do what they want to do at the end of the day, because that's what they want to do.
So what do you think is worse? I know if you emotional abuse or physical abuse? Because emotional, then that can cascade into literally mental illness.
I don't know.
You think they're the same?
It's not the same abuse. It's not
Abuse is not the same. Obviously, like, physical has, like, the physical implications, and maybe you have broken arm, this, that, and the other, and, like, you have to wear that on your person. But mental illness and just how someone can manipulate you financially with all the other things is, like, you can't wear that on your face, and it's a lot harder to maybe even seek help on that. Whereas, yeah, your bones might heal, this, that, and the other. I'm not saying one is worse than the other, but sometimes, like, the emotional part, it's always emotional first, and the physical comes after. So I would argue, I guess, to answer that is that the emotional is harder, but because that's where it all comes from.
Okay.
Thank you, ladies.
Any other questions? Yeah.
Okay, so this is a question for a friend. It's not for me.
Who did this friend come from? Good.
Okay. So there is a wedding that is happening, and the person who is a friend of that friend is marrying a guy that chopped the friend. So, like, the guy's attracted to the friend but marrying the next friend. Well, that's give me a second. So like the thing is, should this friend be in attendance at the wedding?
Don't show.
Say the question again because you can't hear back.
Yeah, repeat the. Give her the mic. Give her the mic. Alright, relax. Relax, let's go ahead.
Ew. So, like, I have a friend that is, has another friend that's getting married to a dude that's attracted to that friend. She wants to know if...
Can we have friend A and friend B, please?
Okay,
so friend A...
My bad. Okay, so, Becky with the good hair has a friend, Sally, who's getting married to Tommy. Tommy's attracted to Becky with the good hair. Should Becky go to Sally and Tommy's wedding? No. Becky should be telling her friend
Sasha's the fence. Sasha's the fence. Where are the fence?
The friend know that her fiance wants her. That's what I mean. How long ago was that? About hold to my wedding.
So I think the consensus is no. It's just, it's a no.
Don't go to that way.
Any other questions, guys? Yeah, go ahead.
So I was just wondering if you have any more tips in regards to entrepreneurs and relationships, because I just quit my job and I'm pursuing other things, and I know it's going to be different because I was able to do I had more control over my time when I was working full time, because I would sit at work all day and do all the shit that I had to do after, so I would have that free time. But now that my time is kind of going to be all over the place, I find that I don't have time for anybody. I don't want to, but I'm getting older, so I was just wondering if you have tips on how you balance that.
So about how you balance entrepreneurship and
have it like a crazy life, late night, this up at 6 o'clock in the morning.
I personally think it ties back to what we were talking about with time management. I think the hardest thing about when I started in the entrepreneur world and started freelancing more is that I had to tell myself that I'm gonna have to sacrifice out on doing certain things. So once I got over the mental hump of fuck, it's gonna suck, I have to miss out on going out. In the beginning stages is awful. At least for me it was, because I used to be kind of like a social butterfly. I would go out every weekend, and I had to condition myself not to do that. But I think creating a routine is a big thing. Ryan talked about, abusing your calendar, using that to the full extent. But I honestly think, I can't remember who said it. I remember my dad told me this when I was younger, but it was along the lines of, if you can't make your bed in the morning, then how can you expect to do a bunch of other really big things going on? And I know it sounds kind of dumb, because there are probably a lot of people who don't make their beds and they still get shit done. But it's for me, I think the reason why he was saying that is because, you wake up, you got a busy fucking day, you make your bed, you don't make your bed, you go throughout this entire day, and you come home and you look at this messy bed, right? And mentally that kind of messes with you when you see your bed. For me it does. I'm just shit. So I would start creating routines of little things. I would make I always made my bed, but I do that. Then I would
be in your skin.
Yeah. Myself, brush my teeth, all that shit. But then I do little things okay, from 9 to 11, I'm gonna research how I can learn things in graphic design, right? And then I do my client emails and all this type of stuff. But I would also schedule time where I would go out and be social, right? I know that sounds kind of weird, almost like Dexter, serial killer, but I'm really not like that. But it's just I would say, all right, I'm gonna go to this event because I know people that are in the industry that I want to be in are gonna be there, so I can network. So setting the small achievable goals, I think, is big because they just lead to bigger things. But that's what works for me. I know there are plenty of people who just fly by the seat of their pants and things work for them. So I think you just mess around for a bit, figure out what works for you, and it'll come to you for sure.
For me, it's a little different. It's not a lot of things he said, but a little different in the sense of the biggest thing for me was a mentality shift. When you finally realize that you're not like your friends, that's when you actually get shit done. Like, there's a part of us that feels like you're... What? What?
What are you so I don't understand. What are you trying to say?
Those are my friends. What I'm saying is, sorry.
Oh, okay.
When you realize you're not like majority of your friends, you'll have some friends that are like you, but there's a part of you where you no longer feel like you're missing out on anything. Like, there's a large part of me that, like, I want to go on my friends. Like, I have friends in different areas. I have friends that party. I have sports friends. I have, like, different friends from different areas and walks of life, right? Some of them become very best friends. Like, those are my friends from sports that we played on the same team, and now we're all, like, best friends. But when you realize that you're not missing out on anything, and if you understand that you're not like certain people, you're not allowed to do certain things. This just is what it is. Like, oh yeah, they can do that. It's like, that's fine. It's not you, and they can't do what you're doing. So that's why they can have fun or go wherever they have to go. But when you finally acknowledge, like, I can't be doing the same things they're doing because I want something different for myself. Once you accept that, you won't care. Like, it's not like, oh, I didn't get to go to this party. It's like, that's okay. Yeah. No, but I'm serious. Like, it's a mental shift of you being like, you're like, oh, like, how do I balance my friendships and stuff? It's like, the friends that need to be around you will remain around you, and they'll support that. And they'll be like, oh shit, like, you're on your shit. Like, okay, cool. Like, oh, like, I can't see you this weekend because I got this. They're like, good. Like, those are the friends you want. They're like, oh, damn, guys, like, I can't come to your birthday party or whatever because I'm working on a paper, whatever you're doing. They won't be like, oh, man, you're always busy. Those aren't the friends, trust me. Those, like, nah. The ones that are like, oh, you got your paper? Like, all right, cool, like, we'll try and figure it out. You know what I mean? You'll start to you start to surround yourself with more people like that are encouraging your dream and encouraging what you're doing. And you'll feel a lot, I guess, more complete with yourself, where it's like, I don't really have to balance friendships because they're good. The ones that I need around me are good. And I'm sacrificing things because I have something bigger for myself than what they might have. That's it. Question.
Top 3 books to read.
Sorry?
Top 3 books to read. What are they? For both of you.
I'm actually, I'll admit, I don't read that many books. It's actually one of my goals that I want to do this year. No, the book I'm halfway through is The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. I'm halfway through it. I'm disappointed in myself because I said I'm gonna read this book and then I get bit like I start so many things and I'm like fuck. But that was a goal for myself this year to read a lot more. I'm very educated. I have my business degree. Like I do read for purpose. Like I don't leisure read. Don't get me like I do read. I want to leisure read because
bro, you don't need to justify it. Like,
no, I personally like I'm disappointed in myself because like
I read books. I read books. Like, don't worry about it. Don't defend yourself. You're good.
Anyways, I can't help you with that question because I don't read that often. So he might have.
But
books.
you read though.
I'm sorry.
I said you read though.
I don't have a book for you. I have 3 books. You have 3 books?
Outliers.
I read that in like high school.
Yo, that's still a good book though. Like a lot of the things that I'm doing now, like it directly transfers. The Art of War is a really good book. Has anyone read that? Warren just gave me the stank face because he knows that's a good book. And there was a book my dad gave me recently. Wow, How to Make My Bed. That's disrespectful. No, I can't remember the name of it.
Actually, you guys, there's people reading here. Do you guys have 3 books? Someone? 3 books.
Suggest a book for your show.
Sure.
It's called How and Why. Never Satisfied. How and Why. How and Why.
These are 3 different books?
No, it's one.
Okay.
A subtitle.
Okay.
Never Satisfied. How and Why Women Cheat by Michael Basin.
Never Satisfied. How and Why Women Cheat.
I'm about to get the cheat codes here. That's what I'm about to do.
It's kind of like Laid. I don't know if you look through Laid, but how everyone has their own story.
Okay.
Compiled together.
Thank you. Thank you. Perfect. You have a book?
I got a couple actually. Yeah. Keep it to
Stand up,
your
your 6'5" self.
Mastery by Robert Greene.
Speak to her. She's asking. Sorry.
Okay. 4 Agreements is another good one.
I got read all of them.
Whoa.
There's 3, the trilogy.
Oh yeah. Okay. Perfect. But that was for everybody else.
She goes, I'm good. I got it.
And David and Goliath by Malcolm Gladwell.
Thanks.
Really good. He's
Thank
the same
you.
guy who did Outliers.
Thank you, guys.
Wow.
Any other questions, guys, before we wrap up a little bit? Yep.
How do I tell, like, my best guy friend that it's time to, like, get off dating apps? Like, on his phone, he has Tinder, OkCupid, Bumble. Like, he's not, like, live apps.
Why do you want to tell them this exactly?
His girlfriend broke up with him, and
Okay.
he's, like, smashing his way through Toronto to the point where, like, we can't go places because there's two people who's already out there.
Okay, wait. I have a question. We talked about this. Has he?
I feel like I need
What?
like an intervention.
Okay, so you need him to get off apps because you guys can't go places because he's fucked someone in every building. Is that what you're saying?
You need to not act like that's wild, cause like that's like kind of normal. Like Toronto's so
Just
small.
because yeah.
Toronto's so small that like people. There's a lot of cross contamination going on. Like for being around.
And don't take it so personal to you to.
I feel like it's a problem though. Like you should.
To you or him?
To like him or.
Why do you think it's a problem to him?
Thank you. I feel like he's a sex addict. Like,
Okay, but he'll find ways. Trust me. If it's not the app, he'll find a way. People doesn't matter what he does. I feel like that might be his vice. Let him do what he wants to do. Your role in the situation is to tell him be safe. That is your only role. You know what?
Wait, what?
Maybe you just fuck some boundaries.
Your
kid does that, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so it's the same thing.
Just glad you don't feel my appetite.
Stop it. Okay. Your only role in that relationship, friendship, is just to let him know, like, be safe. Because it's the same way he can't tell you how to run your relationships. He can't say you should be in a relationship that's monogamous. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just like he's really sad about his girlfriend breaking up with him.
Right.
It's like he doesn't even deal with it.
Okay.
He just goes through people.
Okay,
It's like,
yeah.
That's where you get over it.
No. So I honestly, based on what you're saying, it clearly sounds like it might be a different issue here going on. Because like, has he? Okay, as bad as it sounds, like, has he ever gone through like a whole phase before, where he's just like?
No, he's one of those people that's like a penguin who's always in relationships.
So he's okay. So now
does this not sound familiar? Okay, yo.
So you actually have to leave. You actually have to leave him alone.
No, I have to leave. I can talk to this.
He earned this. He earned this.
Chris is like one of my best friends. He's dying right now because he. Okay. Speaking from personal experience here.
Went through a whole phase.
That was me. Like I was always a person that was in relationship. I never slept around. I never did any of those things. Then I went through like a really bad breakup. This man was for like 6 months. I was depressed. I wasn't doing nothing. And this guy came over one day. He's just like, "Yo, man, like you look like shit. Like you need to get out. Like I'm tired of seeing you like this." I went on a whole phase for like 4 months, and after that, I was like, "Yo, I'm done." Like I'm done. So I think maybe at some point, like it's gonna come down to 2 things. You probably need to like call him out so he's like safe as well. But at the same time, you can be like talk about an existing issue that he's covering up by like using these apps and like doing a bunch of different things, right? Because you know, it might
trying to cope.
Like in all honesty, it might fuck him up like down the road.
No, I feel you. You got to let him run his course. To be honest, this is something where, yeah, he's sad. People have coping mechanisms that are different than others.
Yeah.
You're saying he's always in relationships, and now he's like, oh, what's Tinder? Like, what's this? Like he's really like into this shit now. But there's gonna be like anything, things that have timelines. He's gonna eventually get to a point where if we realize this isn't actually solving his sadness.
Yeah.
And that's just something like we've been saying. People reach points of understanding at different times. You can't tell him when to stop. He has to be like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like he has to do it, or else he won't stop. You just have to literally just be like, be safe. Just make sure you're safe. That's it. So, any other questions for us?
It's not a question, just to answer that.
Okay.
I feel like all men need to go through that phase to like settle down later on in life. So you don't wonder like what you're missing. Women too. Just go through that phase so like you're not ever wondering when you're married, like, am I missing something, this, that, so, like, you know you're good.
When you say missing, what do you mean by that?
You know what he means.
I just wanted to hear what he said.
I can't tell. You can't answer that.
You know exactly what he means.
There's always going to be women out there.
You don't want your girl wondering if she's missing out on Tyrone with the nice dark skin at work. You know?
Okay.
With the fresh lineup.
Any other questions for us, guys? Personal, it could be personal to us. It could be generic questions. Guys, the last few questions before we wrap up. Then we'll just cut it. Anything else? No? You're in the back.
Okay, so I have a reverse of someone else's question. So that question about if you had your friend get cheated on, did they go back to support them? Have you ever like accidentally supported someone else cheating, and not support them as in let them do it, but you know about it and you don't do anything about it? Because I've accidentally like been with a girl, I know her boyfriend, we were good, and one time she's like, oh, my boyfriend's coming over. And someone else came over, and I was like, oh
my God. Someone else came over.
It's none of my business. At the same time.
Okay, yo, first of all, I'm not condoning this, but you have a bad friend, because if your friend says, oh, my boyfriend is coming over, and it's someone else, like, maybe they should have warned you. Essentially,
there's new dick coming tonight, so
essentially what your
we need to be on the same page.
No, hold on. Essentially, what your friend did is make the decision for you before you can even like decide like, yo, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
Right? Like they drag you into the bullshit, so now you're stuck, right? But like, have I ever accidentally supported that?
Or like, have you known someone that's cheating on their partner and you know their partner and you just say, it's not your business.
Yeah, like, okay. Put it like this, like, I think a lot of it, it's definitely not my business. A lot of it, to me, has to do with, the relationship I have with the girl as well. Right? I know that sounds really bad, but let's say I've built a relationship with, like, my boys, like, girl, like, I know them, like, they've never done anything wrong to me, like, and I've known them for quite some time. That would make me feel, like, incredibly awkward, like, really sick, to be honest with you, to the point where it's like, I've actually said this before, it'd be a situation where it's like, okay, it's not my place to say anything, but, like, if your girl asks me, I may just have to leave. Right? And that might be an answer in itself, but because if I like, what do you want me to do in that situation, right? Like, what do you want me to do in that situation?
Depends on who you're closer to.
Yeah, it does depend on who I'm closer to, but like to be honest, I don't have a lot of like my friends' relationships. Like I'm not super tight with their girl as it is, right? So I don't know.
Alright, so I'll just give you like a real life scenario that I went through. So basically, I was kind of in that situation where the woman in the situation and the guy, I was equally like they're both like my best friends. And the guy was wilding out. Like he's wilding out, but I was like, listen, I'm just gonna whatever, let that play out itself because I don't want to hop in that, right?
Yeah.
Long story short, she found out about everything that was happening, and he came to me and he's like, yo, he's like, I know she listens to everything you say. I know this is your best friend. Like, you gotta talk to her. Like, you have to say something. I was like, listen, man, I've seen how you've been the last year. You can tell me if I'm wrong for this. I was like, I've seen how you've been. I'm like, I'm not going to bat for you, man. Like, you gotta deal with that yourself. He didn't talk to me for like 3 years. Like, we just recently started talking. Like, we're cool now. But I was just like, that was my stance on it. I was like, listen, I know what's kind of been happening, so I'm not really gonna jump in that. So I think you should just stay out of the situation. Whatever the consequence is gonna be, like people gotta deal with that, right? So,
yeah. Okay.
Damned if you don't. So if you say something, then it falls back on you, and if you don't say something, then it falls back on you. Like either way, it's happened to me both ways. So I just say,
I'm not getting involved, so that's your drama.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. Anybody else? Last questions?
Oh, back.
You guys loud enough? No?
Yeah. I have a question about partners and friends, like close friends. Like, how do you balance the two? Like, if you want to spend a lot of time with your boyfriend, but then you also want to spend a lot of time with your best friend, how do you balance those two when you enjoy being with both of them equally? So, like, you don't, like, you obviously can be together, all three of you, but, like, it's a different experience when you're
Of course.
one
Yeah.
I feel like when it comes to best friends and relationships, just for me, I guess relationships always take precedence. Just because, I mean, your best friend, like, it sounds shitty, but your best friend, they're gonna be there. Like, you're taking a risk with a relationship, and I feel like your best friends understand that, and they should. And whether that relationship works or not, your best friend, their role as your best friend and your role as their best friend is to be there regardless. And I feel like it's easier, or it should be easier, for the best friend to understand the time that you're trying to get to know that person or your partner, that isn't always as understanding the other way around. Trying to get to know a partner and being like, oh, like, I gotta show my best friend, like.
But what if it's a long-term relationship? Like,
Say it again?
A long-term relationship. Like, you've been with that person for
You're talking about the best friend, or you're talking about
No, the partner.
the partner, and you're not spending enough time with.
Like, there was, like, okay, when you're in a new relationship,
Yes.
you're always gonna pick the partner, like you're saying.
Yeah.
But over time, like, you stop hanging out with the best friend as much as you would as, like, if you were still in high school or school or whatever. So then you kind of shift, like, you're with the friend more than with the boyfriend, but then, like, you want to be.
I feel like it shouldn't be so conscious.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I understand what you're asking, but I just feel like it shouldn't be so conscious that, like, this is the time to be my girlfriend, this is the time to be my best. Like, I feel like, especially the person you're with, whoever that person may be, they know your best friends.
Yeah.
Like, they should. And if they don't, then you should get them to know your best friends and, you know, introduce them and whatnot. That, like, it shouldn't be an issue where you're like, oh, I'm gonna go see my boy or my good girl, whatever. It shouldn't be like I'm taking time from you to do that. You know what I mean? Like, but I feel like that's a conversation you have to have with that person, to be like, listen, these are my best friends. You know, you don't have to say I'm gonna spend a certain amount of time with them. Just be like, these are the guys, these are my girls. So if I say, like, oh yeah, I'm going out somewhere, it's not like, you know, spend time with me. Like, I feel like it shouldn't be so, like, I gotta balance this. It's just it should be very fluid. You know.
All right, we'll take one. Oh, there's two questions.
A couple more questions. We got time.
Okay, Sean, do you have a question?
Yeah. As creatives, do you have any recommendations as to how, like, a person could maybe start something like the way you guys started this podcast or organically? Do you have any, like, tips or recommendations as to how someone can maybe kind of bring their ideas into fruition to get to a platform like you guys have?
It sounds simple, but there's no problem with just trying it and doing it. I mean, like, I don't know how many of you, like, follow me on Instagram for, like, my photography and all that shit, but I only started doing that last year, and I didn't go to school for it. Like, I didn't have anyone teach me. I pretty much just went on YouTube and, like, learned how to do everything. And I think we live in an age now where everything is so accessible that if you dedicate enough time, you can really teach yourself how to do something, right? And then once you teach how to do something, you can create your work. And then the next hurdle is to put your work out there without the fear. Like, for me, the biggest hurdle was, like, I don't want to put anything out because it's not perfect. So, like, if it's not perfect to me, then other people aren't going to like it. And then as soon as I got, like, I said this the other day, like, 90% of the stuff that I post on my Instagram, like, I don't really like, but I post it because people will give me feedback. And then that lets me know, okay, this is where I can improve, and then where I can go from there. But in terms of just starting, just, like, maybe do work on it. If it makes you feel comfortable, like, create some work and then put it out under, like, a completely different name. So it's not even attached to you, but just to see how people react. Because sometimes that plays a factor into it. I remember before I even met Ryan, I think I wanted to do stuff on YouTube. And I remember someone like made like a comment about it, saying like it wouldn't be a good idea or be like shit or whatever. And it was just one person who said this, and this is when I wasn't as strong as I am now, but I was like, fuck, I'm not gonna do this, right? Which is kind of whack, like when you think about it in perspective. But like I said, like just put stuff out there. There are plenty of resources you can look at online, people that will actually help you get your skills better, and you can just go from there.
Yeah, just to piggyback on what he said, same sentiments for the most part. I'm probably the exact opposite of him in terms of content creation. I just constantly create and put out stuff, and I don't give a fuck about anything, to be honest. I just don't care. I've never cared. And that's just me. That's just me though. Like I don't care what people think. I don't care. Like I care about good responses, but if people don't like it, that's fine. I'm not trying to please everybody. And putting things out as often as possible is my way of seeing my own progression. And through, I guess, just what it is, other people are seeing it as well. Like, I'm not doing it for them to see my progression, I'm doing it for myself to see my progression, but in that same process, people are also seeing that. For example, like he said, I only started photography last year as well, last April. I just keep shooting. I don't give a fuck. Like, I don't care. And the more I keep shooting, the more business I'm getting, the more people that reach out, the better I'm getting, the better I can see. And I can look back at my own stuff and be like, that was shit, now it's good. And I can see that. And I'm only challenging myself. Like, I don't care about anything. People can follow me, they can block me, they can whatever. I've never cared. And it's not to say you don't care, it's to genuinely not care. Because you can know what other people think, and then you're looking at stuff like, I don't like it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can think you don't, but I genuinely do not care. And you have to get to that point where it's like, it's not about not caring about opinion and not caring, because you obviously want people's feedback, you want people to care about what you're doing, but it's the not caring about whether or not people think or people believe you're capable of doing something. I don't care if someone thinks I can do it or not, right? So if you have an idea, do it. And if someone's like, oh, it's not a good idea, you're like, that's fine. You're not doing it, I am. Period. People, it's so easy to point and say, oh, that's not going to work. That's not going to work, and have nothing to show for yourself. I don't care what you have to say. Nothing. So for you, whatever you're doing, I say start. I say create. I say put stuff out there. Ask for feedback. And there's nothing wrong with putting out something and asking like a good friend, like, what do you think about this? Like after you've done it. You don't have to ask them before you do it. You can put something out there and be like, oh, so give me some feedback on this. And the biggest thing I'll say about feedback is, in this day and age, people give feedback in the worst way possible. Because we often say we don't like something or we do like something, but we never tell you how to fix it. You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't, someone's like, oh, you like this? Nah, not really. Okay, and we accept it. We're like, oh, alright.
Well, I think the important thing is just asking the why.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if you don't like something, I always ask, like, why? And then I maybe get their perspective on it, and then sometimes I explain why I did what I did, and then it changes their opinion. But, you know, just ask a lot of questions. That's probably the biggest thing.
Yeah. Hope that helps. Question? No? Oh.
Last question? Yeah.
Okay. This is back to the best friend thing, kind of. Okay, so let's say I am best friends with a dude.
Named.
With a dude. And, like, we've done the dude, like, a few times, or whatever.
Yeah.
And now, like, I'm dating somebody else, but that somebody else is not comfortable with me being best friends with the dude that, like, I've had relations with.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, but, like, does this mean that I need to stop being best friends with that
You're not
person?
best friends.
No, what? That's not the point.
That is the point. That's exactly the point.
No, because what
You
if
cannot convince anyone that is your best friend, except yourself.
What if we don't, like, see each other like
That's fine. That no one else cares. No one cares. Listen, no, I mean.
But, like, obviously somebody cares because that's the whole point of
No. I'm saying no one. I'm saying no one else cares that you don't see each other like that anymore.
Yeah.
It's the fact that no matter who you meet from this point on, you cannot convince them that that person's your best friend, even if they, are kind of.
Like, we're friends. Like, I know this person. I'm gonna know this person forever.
That's fine, but But you have to listen. To answer your question, to move on. To answer your question, yes, you can be friends with them all you want. But if you want to pursue something with somebody, you have to be willing to sacrifice that friendship. Period. That's it.
And if you don't,
there's
then
actually no discussion about
like if you don't want to sacrifice that,
then don't. Then
like
don't.
you don't, and you find a new guy. Like that's all you can do.
Yeah.
No, because, like, I don't know, I know somebody who...
You want your cake and you want to eat it too. That's what you want. Like, it's called a spade a spade. Like that's what it is.
No, I'm asking because, like, I've observed a person
Yes.
who has these relationships. And, like, she was married. She's, like, my age. She's like 27. She's actually a year younger than me. But, like, she, like, is still, like, all nifty with, like, ex-husband.
No, it works for some people, but I'm saying you can't expect.
So it's not an impossibility.
It's not impossible, no. But I'm saying you can't go into something with that expectation.
No, that's all I'm asking.
Okay. You ask the question, you're cutting me off. What the heck? Okay, but yeah, no, it's not impossible. But good luck. Alright. Any other questions? You guys good? We good? Thank you guys so much. Thank you guys so much for being to the end of the podcast. Thank you. Yeah, this is so amazing every time. Like it's the second time doing it now, and it feels just as exciting as the first. I appreciate you guys rocking with us, and just it's just genuine, man. Like we love doing this. It's sorry.
It's therapeutic.
It is I told this guy how many times this podcast has helped me. Me listening to me has helped me, bro. Like trust me, because when you hear yourself say something, it's how many. Okay, last question. I'll ask you guys a question. How many people have been that advice person for their friends, but don't listen to themselves? Every time, right? People are like, oh my God, you know so much. You go to them, you're like, what do I do with this? You're like, oh, boom, do this. They're like, oh my God, thank you, you're the best. And you're in that situation, you're like, fuck. Like, what do I do? You know what I mean? Like, and you're like, do what you told them. They're like, yeah, but that's for them. That's for them. That's not for me. But that's what it is. Like, it's so easy to tell someone how to do something and like, oh yeah, you do this. This is what I would do. But when you're in it, it's like, oh shit, like, do what you said you would do. And it's hard, right? So this podcast for me has literally been me like answering your guys' questions, giving my perspectives, and saying stuff like, what did I do? What'd you do? And when then the question comes back to me, what will you do now, Ryan? It's like, I listen to my podcast and I'm like, what did you say? Like, what did you say? What did you say? Because no one else, it came out of your mouth. So when I listen to it, I'm like, this is how I actually feel. Because when you're in a situation, you start manipulating your own thoughts. And it's like, oh, I don't really think that way. Not completely, but when I'm answering someone else's question that's pretty similar to my own situation, when I answered it to them, I was very candid and very just honest. Yeah, just do this, so easy. So when I listen to myself, I'm like, that's how you really feel.
Yo,
right?
If you guys want a perfect example of what this podcast has done, go back to the episode, like go on YouTube, and go back to the episode with Marlon, that dude McFly.
Yes.
And there's this is when I got cheated on, right? Marlon had no clue that I went through that situation. So Ryan brings up on the podcast like about cheating, and Marlon just goes in on any dude that gets cheated on, right? Like he went in for a solid 15 minutes, and I purposely did this. I had the camera slowly zoom in on my face, and you can literally see me like looking at Marlon listening, and then I'm fucking like looking away. And I'm like stressed. I'm like, yo, what am I doing? So then I looked back at that podcast and I'm like, yo, why did I go through that situation? So trust me, if you go back and watch that, that's like a perfect example of like me going back, looking and seeing like my past self become like my future self, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, and the last thing I'll say for the people who've been listening from the beginning, people who hopped on in the middle, people who hopped on now, people who've never even heard of us and showed up tonight, thank you guys. This whole podcast has been a wild ride, especially for my relationship. Started the podcast in a relationship, broke up, was single, now I'm back in a relationship, and through the podcast and through talking and having discussion and having all these things, it allowed me to find myself. It allowed me to be like, you experienced everything you don't want. You've talked about the things you do want, so you have absolutely no excuse to get into something that you do not want. Period. And as much as I might help you guys, I'm helping myself. And this is why I love to do this, because it's not just for you. Like, it's really helping me. Like, genuinely helping me make decisions and work on my own, patience and all that kind of stuff. So thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for showing up.
And just so we'll let you guys know, I think we're gonna do it next month in the end of July, but we're gonna be like throwing a party of barbecue for you guys, like as an appreciation to our supporters for just always being around. Man, niggas clapping for free food. That's my brother too. It's always your old people, Like, for real, it be your old people. Anyway, we just wanted to do that to thank you guys. So there'll be more details to come about that. But yeah, thanks again for coming out. It means a lot, honestly. If I could blush, I would, and I can't because I'm dark. Anyway, thanks for coming, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks up.
We need to talk. We need to talk. We need to talk. We need to talk. We need to talk.